I have been faithful to my husband for our entire marriage, and he is the only man I need in my life, but he recently brought up the idea of bringing other men into the bedroom to be intimate with me while he watches, and I turned it down, but I don't think he wants to take no for an answer. Posted by u/Throra80176. My husband, 42M, and I, 40F, have been married for 14 years, but we've known each other since I was 7 and he was 9. We were neighbors, and his family lived just a few blocks away from mine. We were the best of friends growing up and started dating when I was 13 and he was 15, but we broke up when he left for college at 18. During that time, he had the whole college experience, while I focused more on my education and career, so I never really dated anyone. We reconnected when we were 22 and 24, respectively, and have been together ever since. Needless to say, he was more than surprised that I was never with anyone in the 7 years we were apart. It just never felt right. Now, I know he's been with several women before, but it never really bothered me. I've pretty much indulged every sexual fantasy he's ever had, as long as he promised that sex was just for us. I told him that all I wanted was a committed and monogamous relationship with him, and it's been that way since. About a month ago, he dropped a bomb. I've always encouraged him to be open and honest with me about anything, but it was still a shocker. Apparently, he's always had this fantasy about me having sex with other guys while he watches. The very thought of this made me violently ill, and I told him that I would never do it. He tried to argue for a bit, but he dropped it. Or so I thought. We own several small businesses together, but I've since taken a step back after we had kids. I still help out with management every now and then, though. A few days after that encounter, I came by the office to have lunch with him and help with some paperwork, and I noticed that some of the staff, especially the younger guys, started acting all flirty with me, which I found very inappropriate. I told my husband, but he just shrugged and smiled, saying it was normal because I was attractive. Even when he had a few of his buddies over to watch basketball, one of his friends openly flirted with me in the kitchen while I prepared their snacks. Again, I told my husband, but he just shrugged it off. He never really brought up that fantasy of his directly, but since then, he's been casually mentioning how good-looking this person or that person is, almost as if he's trying to set me up with them. Every time I call him out on it, he just says he's not doing anything wrong and that he's just talking. I'm at the end of my rope. I've always taken pride in the fact that I've only ever been with one man. It's always been special to me, and he knows this, but it doesn't seem like he respects that at all. I've always been devoted to him since we were kids, but he doesn't seem to value my commitment and loyalty at all. Every time I try talking to him about it, he says he's already dropped it, yet I always have this gut feeling that the people flirting with me were doing it with his encouragement. Before that, everyone knew how devoted I was. What should I do? I definitely don't want a divorce because I do love him with all my heart, but this whole thing has been driving me crazy. Any advice? /relevant comments. Commenter. Wow. I would not think he told any of his workers anything. I would definitely assume he told his friends to try and bang you. Don't do anything you're uncomfortable with. No judgment here, everyone is different. If he doesn't listen to you, maybe that's the end. Ops response. I think he told the employees, because they used to be very respectful of my personal space, and none of them really flirted with me until recently. And yeah, I definitely won't do it. I've always loved to indulge what he likes doing, and I try my best to make him happy and feel loved, but this is a stretch too far. More on the employees and his friends. Yeah, now that I think about it, he is trying to wear me down. I'm not exactly sure what it is he told his employees and friends, though, so it's hard to judge them outright. But yeah, maybe I wasn't being firm enough when I said I won't do it. Downvoted commenter 2. I don't see the problem here. Ops response. He wants me to have sex with other men. I don't. Suddenly, a lot of guys at work, and one of his friends, start flirting with me, and he just acts like it's no big deal. That's a problem for me. Downvoted commenter 3. Lots going on here. First, I've been the other guy in many a hot wife/stag/vixen scenario. The absolute worst thing a husband with this fantasy can do is try and force the situation. Setting up guys to hit on his wife always, turns into a train wreck. And yes, there seems to be a level of clear communication that hasn't happened here. But, if I may make a counterargument and perhaps offer a compromise, if you haven't already done so, you should do some research on the subject. I think you'll be surprised to find this lifestyle is becoming increasingly popular with couples. These are couples that are emotionally committed to each other, but the husband and wife enjoy allowing the wife to play with others. It doesn't mean he loves you any less. In fact, to him, it's about allowing you to have fun experiences and then gives him the opportunity to reclaim you. Again, I highly encourage you to at least research what it is he's asking for. Oh, by the way, it's rare that this is a husband's way to get to play with others. Most of the husbands I've met in the lifestyle were totally committed to their wives and only wanted to see them pleasured. Now, after the research, you may find this still isn't your cup of tea. Hey, it takes all kinds to make the world spin around. This is when you fully communicate with him that you looked into what he wanted and it's not for you. You understand why he wants it, but it goes beyond your comfort level or belief system. Be open and honest. This doesn't mean you can't role-play the idea/concept with just the two of you. Toys are a fun way to engage in role-play. Think of it as a compromise between his needs and your wishes. Oh, one other thing. Doesn't sound like you, but you'd be surprised how many hot wives I've talked to over the years who said they never would have imagined they'd be into such a thing. Just saying. Ops response. While I don't fully understand the lifestyle, I don't need research to know it's not for me. I've committed myself to just my husband, and the fact that he's the only one I've been with is something very special and very important to me. You're right, though, despite the twisted nature of what's going on, I think in his own way he still loves me, and I don't think he's cheating or wants to cheat either. He doesn't have the usual textbook red flags cheaters do, secretive with their phones, long hours at work, etc. And like I've said in previous comments, I've tried everything with my husband. Despite the fact that he's the only one I've ever been with, sex is definitely not vanilla. Op adds an edit to her post. I don't want to have sex with other men. I never have, and I probably never will. The very idea makes me sick. I've only ever wanted to do it with him because I always believe that sex should be reserved only for someone you love. But I don't really push this narrative on others, that's just me. Update 1 month later. So it's been a month since I posted, and a lot has happened since, so I figured I'd update you guys now that things have somewhat settled, at least in a way. Here's what happened. A few days after I posted, my husband had his friends over again. As I was making their sandwiches, one of his friends came up behind me, grabbed my waist, and started calling me beautiful and hot. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my previous post, but I don't like being touched by others unless I'm close to them. Instinctively, I stabbed him with a butter knife. While it was dull, I did hit him hard enough to draw a bit of blood. His friend started cursing at me and my husband, who rushed into the room after he heard me scream. His friend kept saying, "You said it was okay," over and over. I'm not exactly sure what happened next because after I slapped my husband, I walked right out of the kitchen and locked myself in our room. I've never felt so unloved and disrespected in my entire life. Our kids were at my mother-in-law's house, by the way. I didn't leave there until the next morning and found my husband sleeping on the couch, smelling of booze. After he sobered up, we talked. It was long, but to summarize the whole thing. Apparently, a few of his buddies were into wife swapping and sharing them with other men. Swinging is what he called it, if I remember correctly. One just liked sharing his wife with other men. They talked a lot about their sexual adventures, and my husband said he got jealous and it made him miss his promiscuous past, and he started fantasizing about it. I reminded him of my boundaries, and he said he was so caught up in the fantasy, he didn't think anything else mattered. He said that night was a wake-up call, and for the first time, he was genuinely afraid of losing me. I know he's not lying. I've known him for over 3 decades, so I can easily tell when he's being genuine. I told him how disrespected I felt over the last few weeks, where people in his life would flirt with me. I told him how miserable it made me feel that he wasn't taking my commitment to him seriously. I told him that as much as I loved him, the sight of him makes me boil with rage. He said he understands and that he'll do anything to make it up to me. To make things clear, I'm not mad because of his fantasies. I'm mad at the disrespect he's shown me since his confession, and he has acknowledged this. Long story short, we are currently separated. I just couldn't stand living with him in this moment in time. The kids and I moved out and are now living in his sister's guest house. It's great here, and the kids love being around their cousins and my mother-in-law, who's been living in the guest house since before we moved in. His sister knows the story and is on my side, and his mother just knows that he messed up. I'm in low contact with my husband now. He's in therapy, which is good for him. I'm also in therapy to help deal with what's going on. He has also told me that he cut all contact with his circle of friends, and in the few times I went to the office to drop the kids off to him, no one flirted with me. I still love my husband, so reconciliation is definitely on the table, and neither one of us has brought up divorce yet. He knows what he needs to do and what he needs to work on, and kicking his friends out was a good start. After some time, we'll do marriage counseling, but only after I've seen him put in the work. He knows he has to win me back and never take me for granted again. I'm hopeful for our family to be together again and that I can get my old, loving husband back. But at the moment, I'm just trying to hold it together for my kids. This sounded more like a rant, but it's been rather cathartic. Thanks for the advice in my last post. I appreciate every single one of them. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Did he sleep with his friend's wife? Is that why he was trying to make this okay? Commenter 2. I'm glad you stood up for yourself. You did exactly the right thing. I'm also happy that you want to forgive him. I know how hard it can be to forgive someone who hurts you like this. I hope he's truly learned his lesson, and I'm glad you haven't excluded the possibility of reconciliation. Good luck to all of you. Commenter 3. He gave his friends permission to touch you like you were a pet dog. Yeah, it's okay to pet up. I don't understand how reconciliation is on the table. You deserve better. Op's response. I know I deserve better, which is why we're separated. I know what kind of man he truly is, and I love that version of him more than anything, so I want nothing more than for him to find himself again. Op adds an edit to her post. I'm here to clarify a few things. I didn't force him to cut off his friends. It was something I would have brought up once marriage counseling was coming up, but he did so voluntarily. I'm pretty sure my husband never slept with any of their wives. I don't doubt that he wanted to, though. He simply never had the time nor the means to do so. Most of the time, he and his friends hung out at our place. All of his time in the business is accounted for, so he never comes home late, nor is he secretive with his phone. He swears up and down that he never slept with anyone else, and I've known him well enough to know he isn't lying. Reconciliation is something that's not guaranteed. He'll have to show me he's changed, or rather, that he's found his old self again. He'll have to sweep me off my feet again, and I definitely won't make things easy. It's not something that will happen overnight, and I still haven't forgiven him yet. It's like I love him and hate him at the same time, if that makes sense. No, we won't be seeing other people. Editor's note. It has been 5 years since Op last posted, so my best guess is that everything panned out well for Op and she ended up reconciling. Because people usually go back to Reddit when there's more bad news to share rather than good. Hopefully all is well.